War for the Planet of the Apes is the newest movie in the Planet of the Apes series. It's the sequel to Dawn of the Planet of the Apes and Rise of the Planet of the Apes. And in War for the Planet of the Apes, war is coming for the apes because of what Koba did in the last movie. Now it's humans fighting apes. It's a war that Caesar never wanted, but he's got to fight it anyways. And you've got this really evil dude named the Colonel, played by Woody Harrelson. He's coming after Caesar and the whole ape tribe. And if I'm comparing this movie to Dawn, this movie also has a lot of other stuff going on in it that I can't really talk about here. But that's the main plot of the movie. Now, War for the Planet of the Apes, this was one of my most anticipated movies of the summer and one of my most anticipated movies of the entire year. I got to see this movie yesterday as part of this big triple feature thing that my theater was doing, so I sat through Rise, sat through Dawn. I love Rise, I think Dawn is even better, and I think War might be the best one. I don't know. It's definitely on par with Dawn, I could say that. It might even be better. This might be the best movie of the trilogy. But starting out this review, the movie that you get, it's a little bit different than the movie you think you're gonna get, because the title of this movie, War for the Planet of the Apes. When I saw that title, I was expecting a war movie. I was expecting there to be a lot of action in it. And these Apes movies, while they have great action in them, they've never really been action set pieces. They always really walk the line between action and drama. And this movie is a lot more of a drama. It's the longest out of the three movies. It's also the slowest out of the three movies. What that really helps with is you really feel the desperation of these apes and of the humans. You feel desperation on both sides. But this movie has such a sense of finality to it. I don't know if they're gonna make another one of these, but with this whole movie you really feel like this is the end, you know, with the characters, with the mood, with the emotions. I love that. It's not too often in movies when you get that sense of finality because everyone wants to build it up into more sequels and spin-offs, but this movie really did feel like the end of an era. Motion capture work in these movies, I mean, it's groundbreaking stuff. Every single time these movies comes out, they're pushing the envelope of what mocap and CGI can do. In this movie, it's no exception. All the characters are great. This movie is a lot more ape-centric than the other movies were. Rise was pretty half and half apes and humans. Dawn veered a little bit more on the ape side, but still apes and humans. This movie is definitely about the apes. While the human characters do get some shine in them, the ape characters are the ones that take center stage. Andy Serkis as Caesar, the guy should get an Oscar for this role. He's probably not going to, but he was amazing. He, again, like I was saying earlier, he's just reached that point of desperation where he's like, I didn't want this, but this is the situation I'm in, and he's done. He's had it. And what's really cool about him, this is a much darker Caesar than we saw before. You saw, especially in Dawn, when Koba was like, yeah, let's go take over the humans, guns blazing. Like in Dawn, when they're hanging out at James Franco's house and Blue Eyes walks in with a gun, Caesar's like, so you're a murderer now? Because Caesar never wanted the fighting. He never wanted a war. But in this movie, Caesar has no choice. He has to go to those morally gray areas, and he does some things in this movie that Caesar from the last movie would never want to do. But in this movie, he's changed. He's grown darker. He's grown colder. And he is one of my favorite movie characters of all time. Seeing this progression from Rise all the way to War, it's almost like a tragedy. A few other characters that you've grown to know and love throughout these movies, like Rocket and Maurice, they're given some time to shine. And they introduced this new ape in the movie. He's called Bad Ape. I saw him in the trailer and I was like, for one, the CGI on him doesn't look that good, and he looks like he might get pretty annoying. Thankfully, he didn't. Thankfully, the CGI on him won me over. It looks a lot better in the movie than I think it did in the trailer. And he's like the comic relief character, which could really bomb, especially in a movie that's so bleak and so dark like this one. But I found when he was on screen, it was kind of just like a, oh, thank you. Like, you really do need that in this movie. There's a lot of really bleak stuff in this movie. It's kind of like Logan in the sense that I love the movie, but it is a pretty depressing movie. And Bad Ape is able to put some levity into those scenes, and that really helped. Talking about some of the human characters in this movie, alright, Woody Harrelson. This might be the best I've ever seen Woody Harrelson. Definitely the best villain that we've seen in the Apes series. This guy goes dark. He's out there, he's pursuing the apes with a vengeance, and that desperation is also there with him. You really get the sense. He even says it in the trailer. He's like, this is our one last stand. If we don't succeed here, this is gonna be a planet of apes. And right out the gate, his opening scene in this movie, Woody Harrelson's character, he does something. You immediately hate him, you immediately want to see him get taken down. But also, he's not just a one-dimensional villain as well, because there is a scene with him and Caesar, and they're talking, and you hear more about Woody Harrelson's past, and you're kind of like, alright, I get the reason you made the calls that you did, but at the same time, you're evil and you need to go down. Great stuff. You hate this guy as much as Caesar hates him, and so it really helps you to empathize with Caesar and the apes more. But the movie actually takes a direction about halfway through. Again, this movie is not really a war movie, but they go this one route that does kind of slow the movie down. I thought there was like that 10-15 minute segment where they could have sped it up a little bit, but it gives you more time to spend with the apes, more time to spend with Caesar, and just see the horrible situation that they're in. So I'm really glad that stuff was there. I think it could have been a hair tighter there though. I'm trying to think of issues I have with the movie. I guess there is one thing. The Ape series in general has been known ever since the Charlton Heston one for social commentary and metaphors. In this movie they have a couple metaphors, couple of allusions. Some of them really work, and some of them would have worked if they were a little more subtle subtle with them. It's kind of just like, again, they're really trying to get you to empathize with Caesar, and so they're just drilling this metaphor into the ground, and you're just like, okay, I get it. At a point with some of the metaphor, subtlety kind of gets thrown out the window, but that's about it, and it never really hindered my overall experience of the movie. War for the Planet of the Apes is one of the best finishers to a trilogy that I've ever seen. This movie brings in all the emotion, all the heart. It isn't a war movie per se. There is action in the movie, especially near the end, and that action is really cool. It's a nice payoff, but this movie is much more of an emotional journey for both the apes and the humans, but mainly the apes. Especially at the end of the movie, I'm just reflecting over this whole franchise. I'm like, Caesar, Maurice, Rocket, Blue Eyes, Cornelia, Koba. For me, it's just crazy that I can distinguish and name all of those CGI characters. All these apes have their own personalities, their own story arcs, and seeing all that come full circle is really emotionally satisfying. War for the Planet of the Apes amazed me. I think so far it is my favorite movie of this year. It's fantastic, it's rock solid, it's got a lot of great action, great emotion, great characters, great themes. Like I was saying earlier, this movie, again, like Dawn, does blur the lines of like what's good, what's bad, forcing our heroes to make a couple of tough calls that they wouldn't have made in the previous movies, but because of their situation, they just have to. So go see War for the Planet of the Apes. It's fantastic. Best movie of the year so far for me. But if you guys have seen War for the Planet of the Apes, let me know what you thought of it down in the comments, and thank you so much for watching this video. If you guys liked it, you can click subscribe and check out some of my other videos, and I'll catch you guys next time.